Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV, focused today on our favorite subject, blockchain. We love it. Yeah, there we go. Noble's getting excited too. It's going to be fun. We've got a fun episode for you because today it's Noble and I, fireside chat, co-host for co-host style. We're going to talk about everything that's happening in the greater world of blockchain. We're going to get into FinTech. We're going to talk about payments because some big news dropped today from PayPal. We're probably going to talk about NFTs because there was an explosion of news as well throughout NFTs. We had highlights from UFC. We also had some big fundraising announcements, and Consensus decided to throw a curveball in the entire market and say, hey, we're going to launch a layer 2 solution called Palm that's going to compete with Flow by Dapper Labs and get into this whole NFT game. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about so much more. But first and foremost, if you love what you're hearing today, make sure you click subscribe, share the episode, check out the archive on LATOKEN.com, and also make sure you reach out if you would like to be on a show like today with Noble and I. What better place is there to be on a Tuesday morning than hanging out with us talking about blockchain? But in all seriousness, woo! Big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode of BCTV possible. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere at Kyle Ellicott, but more importantly, welcome. This way. Welcome to my co-host, Noble Jacone. Noble, a little introduction for everybody who may not know you.
All right. If you don't know me, my name's Noble Dracone. I actually got involved in tech back in the late 90s when I first got involved with paging. And so we were doing 450 megahertz, 150 megahertz. At the time, it was all the transition to TDMA, CDMA, and everything that we have now. Since then, I've been 28 years in the investment industry. I've written 7 books on trading and investing. My last 2 were Winning the Trading Game and Trade Like a Pro that were published by Wiley & Sons. I tell people those are books that they're kind of my magnum opus, but they're pretty heavy read for some. So they're not definitely War and Peace. Since then, we help and work with a lot of companies. We have worked with M Accelerator to help companies grow and develop and find capital. We personally either invest or find capital for companies. And then, as a transition, I'm also the president and CEO of a gaming company called Wordplay Games. Kind of my pet project, passion project that evolved from an idea on combining AR with merchandise, which then got me a patent pending to the point of where we did several successful Kickstarters, and now we're knee deep in non-fungible tokens. We're about to release a fun game on unicorns and NFTs, and so we're involved in the mix. So happy to be here, Kyle. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, LATOKEN, everybody.
Yeah, this is such an honor. I mean, the more you do in this industry, you just continue to evolve and continue to expand. It's incredible. And with your history, both from traditional finance and also into gaming and technology, it's a natural fit. And I want to get to NFTs, but before we do, we got to talk about this big drop today. PayPal. PayPal comes out today. We knew this was coming based on rumors, based on their activities at the end of 2020, opening up the world of purchasing Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then later a few others. We knew something big was going to happen, especially as Visa made big moves recently as well. We had MasterCard starting to make more investments. Then all of a sudden Discover says, hey, don't forget about me. I'm number 3. Don't forget about me. And then Amex makes one investment. And American Express says, hey, we're here. Don't worry. We made one investment in Falcon X, so we're good. But truth be told, PayPal was just this quiet giant that we knew was just ready to be awakened. Well, today it did. So for those that are tuning in, just a quick headline to read for them. So PayPal, as of today, has announced that they are starting to allow all US users to spend crypto holdings at their millions, 29 million plus in particular, of merchants online globally. What that means is that anyone that has bought Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin, I believe, are the 4, can now use their digital wallets, being PayPal's digital wallets, and convert those into fiat and transact and buy anything online. I mean, this is huge. I mean, Noble, let me take the fanboy out of me for a second. Talk to me. Why is this big, or why is this just a little drop in the bucket?
Well, let's look at it. Right, they're a little late. Tesla just said they were going to take Bitcoin last week for you to buy a Tesla car. So I think that I think PayPal felt a little scooped on that focus, right? That Tesla is going to take Bitcoin, have their own internal nodes, and then people can go ahead and buy whatever they want as a Tesla. So they had to make this announcement this week because it's been pent up. We knew this for 6 months that they were going to head in this direction. The problem that I've always had with this, though, is that there's really a true confusion on what currency is and what assets are, and this has got to be resolved because merchants. I don't know if you remember early on when merchants started taking Bitcoin as a form of payment. A lot of them were going bankrupt because the fluctuation in price was so drastic that they could never stabilize what their pricing was going to be. It's good that PayPal is doing that stopgap measure of converting the crypto into fiat that now lets you pay. Perfect. But at the end of the day, people who own these cryptos so far have been very, very fixated on the appreciation component of them, not on the spendability. So I'm just really curious how that's going to play out as time progresses and how people see the opportunity cost of using their crypto to do everyday purchases when prices may or may not go up, right? Because there's always that idea that you're FOMOing, right? The fear of missing out. So it's really interesting what's happening. I think I would have personally preferred people to be more fixated on utilizing a lot of the Tether style coins and driving that as the first conversation. So allowing the crypto conversion be in the hands of the holder, converted into Tether, and then USD Tether be or whatever it could be DAI,
right.
Tether coin being the medium as opposed to fiat. But we'll see how this plays out.
Well, and speaking of Tether, we just had a big report, which I have not read, so this is just a headline for those that are listening, that came out, and regulators or those at B, I'll just say, have said that it's fully backed and stable. That's all. It's just a headline. I haven't read the report, so just as a clarity fact for everybody. But also USDC. I mean, USDC and Visa had their big announcement yesterday with crypto.com, and they'll be able to now do that. We also have Mogo, MOGO, which is a publicly traded company out of Canada that's, I believe, does mortgages. They're now going to be rewarding their users with Bitcoin for taking out a loan and a mortgage, and then allowing them to spend that instantly. So again, the cryptocurrency being spent instantly within their marketplace. So this is a theme, but this is a big announcement. This and Visa, even though they work together, PayPal, I mean, we'll just average it out and say this could touch 50 million, 60 million merchants. I mean, just aggregate number. We're not talking crossover. So maybe cross over 35 million.
Well, we're not even talking about the trickle-down effect, right? Because as you have the trickle-down effect of the companies being in the space where crypto is being accepted, then those companies may want to then turn around and pay in crypto. It's one of those things that psychologically people start adopting it, and as they adopt it, it changes. And that's why I say, Tesla had the story. We have our own nodes. We're able to take the Bitcoin directly. We're able to. That's going to become the normative for a lot of companies as they learn technologically what they need to do in order to do it. And then Tesla's news was just as exciting. They are figuring out a way to decrease the global impact on how they're doing Bitcoin. So there's a lot of things happening. Just like I said, the biggest confusion is we are going to have to start really getting focused on the Satoshi aspect of Bitcoin if we're going to be seeing all these large players start to gobble up the existing supply. And it's not going to be longer conversations of how many Bitcoin or what Bitcoin you have, but how many Satoshi are you're swapping back and forth. We're going to have to start getting to the fractionalized conversation a lot better.
Right. And you're calling out, I mean, Tesla focusing on the actually running of the Bitcoin node is a huge transition point. And speaking of transitions, let's switch over real quick to NFT, and we're going to welcome someone up here in just a moment as well. But NFTs, before we get into the big NFT game, I got to read this headline. This was a huge drop just before you and I got to see each other this morning. Consensus says, let's add another tool in our toolkit of developer opportunities and in our suite with a announcement of a layer 2 NFT platform called Palm. This new platform is going to compete, in their eyes, head to head with Flow by Dapper Labs. It is an environmentally friendly, which is something that we're starting to see a lot more talk about as well, going carbon neutral or just being conscious of that around this industry, but that it is environmentally friendly NFT scaling solution. It will be a side chain designed to be fully connected to Ethereum, sporting a faster settlement times, lower fees, and lighter footprint. Wild. I mean, I mean, again, I'll take the fanboy out for a minute. You tell us, what is the impact that this is going to have? Because we also have Matic, we have Wax, we have many other companies around the blockchain space doing this. So Consensus throwing their hat in with Palm. What's the impact?
Yeah, so this is the question, right? Everyone was trying to figure out how to tap into all the money and wealth that's been developed in Ethereum. And that's kind of the drive in all of these kind of sidechain developments. You know, Uniswap version 3 was supposed to be out earlier this month. Now it's pushed back further. But the idea is to make Ethereum less expensive, less gas, and more accessible to unlock all the wealth that's been built up. So it only makes sense that Consensus would want to build a sidechain. The real question is, do we really need more sidechains, right? Binance is building their BP20, which is their attack on the ERC 721, and which is great because Binance is got all the users, it's got the capital, it's got the people sitting there ready to use it. So this is going to be a war of the chains coming up, and unfortunately, a lot of really good chains are getting lost in the conversation. EOS was supposed to be the alternative a long time ago, right? That it was going to be the successor to Ethereum, and they had a great debut, great explosion, and EOS is now jumping more aggressively into the non-fungible token space, but they're also having issues in being adoption. They've got a lot of pent-up capital, a lot of pent-up demand, but nobody's using it, and that's why Wax exploded. It's almost a side chain of EOS. So there's all these players in the game, and I don't think it's going to end. The other day we had Robbie Young of Animoca on our podcast, and we were talking about what they're developing and what's going on and how they really liked what was going on with Flow, and they built their most recent NFT game on Flow. It's really going to be the next, I think, 18 months of people battling it out and trying to figure out how to make Ethereum easier, more accessible, but also how to jump on the wave of NFTs. The question really is, what comes post NFT, right? You know, we went from the normal, the regular, cryptocurrency that can be fractionalized to the NFT that can be non-fractionalized to the SEC saying that people can't sell NFTs of artwork because it's now fractionalizing when you have artwork because it's considered security. So there's all this stuff that's coming down the pipeline, and I'm looking forward to all the innovation. The question is, can it get enough adoption and people jumping on to do it? You know, it's one thing to build it. The question is, will they come?
And you're spot on. And I think this is also unique on the Ethereum side with Palm is that we have Ethereum 2.0 that's supposed to be coming out. That's supposed to be faster. Now, that also has slowed in terms of it's progressing, I should say, pardon me. But I think there have been some delays in its initial launch rollout this year. But nonetheless, I mean, now you're throwing your hat into this game. The question is, where do you go? Do you really compete with Flow?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with that, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. It's
we're doing Cardano and ADA, and everyone's sold an ADA, and I think they're going to put their hat in too. Same thing that Palm and Flow did.
So do you go? Sorry, because technology 2021, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, do you go after the opportunity that's current and hot, being consumer, or do you go after the bigger picture that's no one's talking about right now, which is enterprise, and just start looking at the idea of digital twins and digitization of everything once physical and now creating that digital footprint of it? I mean, to me, if I'm running Palm, which I'm not, just to clarify for everybody, if I was, that to me seems like the perfect long fit for something like the development of a side chain? And what are your thoughts there, Noble? I mean, you play in the NFT space very heavily. I mean, looking at it from outside the consumer perspective, where do you
Yeah,
focus?
I think everyone thought the low hanging fruit is consumer, right? And right now I'm getting all these developers I'm acquainted with, telling me, do you want to create OpenSea clones? And it's unfortunate because that's not really where the long term need is for non fungible tokens. There's a lot of identity, and we've had, you had great guests on the show who talked about identity issues. They've talked about mortgage and real estate. We've talked about opportunities to make other components easier and functional to use using NFTs. And I think that's really where we're at. We need to create a successful enterprise integration because already, finally, Visa, American Express, PayPal, getting businesses to adopt digital currencies, and how long that took to happen, the speed at which they'll be able to implement NFTs in those places are going to be lightning fast. And that's really where the energy should be, because now that those majors have accepted it, NFTs are only going to be the next logical conclusion for them, and they're going to move really fast. They're not going to be left out on the enterprise solution of that component.
No, and I really do like that idea. I really hope someone takes it. I'm curious to see again where Palm goes. That was a big announcement today, so we haven't had much insight on it for those that are tuning in, but it's good to talk about as well, and just to be aware of new side chains and new companies that are coming into space. Adrian, welcome to the show as well. Any thoughts on this world of NFTs and the big news that consensus dropped today around Palm? But if you haven't seen it, just bigger picture, what are you seeing around NFTs and the opportunity that may lie?
With the NFTs, as you mentioned before, hello Noble, hello Kyle. Sorry for being late. I was in a different time zone.
It's okay. It's okay.
As you mentioned, this tokenization of everything, I believe, is the way to go in the NFT space, and I see more and more funding coming into this direction. I don't know if the way to go is to create a clone of OpenSea, but to look at the avenues which are overlooked right now, maybe. I just saw before coming to this show, it's not necessarily related to the NFTs, but to the crypto as a whole. PricewaterhouseCoopers expects more crypto startups to get bought by big tech, and they see that institutional investors will continue to get involved into crypto. The big four firms said in a new report. And it was an article I've read about. They say that crypto fundraising crashed last year due to the pandemic. I didn't see something like that, but this is the report. And they also said that overall the fundraising increased from 2019 to 2020, and the amount of cash plugged into crypto projects hit over 3 billion. So in 2020, I think that we with NFTs, they get more and more funding. This is what I'm feeling. I don't have a lot of updated data, but I see many platforms I see their decks, so they are not developed yet. Many ideas, many avenues which are overlooked right now. So I believe that we have to be very careful to see what other people are not seeing, and to build projects in these areas.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And also, speaking of that, I just had one additional headline that came across, taking a step back in our conversation about payments before Adrian joined Noble. Bakkt, B-A-K-K-T, has launched a mobile app for Bitcoin holding and spending to the general public. So enabling the buy, sell, and transaction of Bitcoin as well. Another headline in what seems to be a day, but feels like a week worth of news around the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency payment space. So big waves coming out of the industry. That being said, Noble, coming back to NFTs and where this plays a role, maybe even in the world of payments, is there anything that you've seen or anything that you can imagine coming in the next year or so where the NFT and non-fungible tokens, as well for those that are tuning in, where that may play a role in terms of payments and future of FinTech as well?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, the NFTs are locked value, right? So we know that because, the uniqueness of each one, it has an indeterminate appraisal in the sense that who else wants to buy that besides you? And, we've all been in finance at some point for quite some time, and the greater fool theory always plays out. So DeFi is going to have to play a significant component in, I guess, reinforcing the value of these NFTs that people are acquiring. When everyone and their grandmother can create an NFT, does each NFT hold equal weight? Does each NFT hold equal value? I've seen some bizarre stuff being sold as art. I've seen people reach out and say, "Hey, I've got I want to buy into art. I've never bought art before." And there's going to be a lot of buyer's remorse in the next 18 months unless there can be some third-party validation or arbiter of this really does have value. This does have something outside. And I think before we can start figuring out a way to use the NFTs as swapping monetization, we have to figure out what the value is and then determine what can you borrow against it? Can you? And people are trying. It's not that for lack there's an environment happening, but can you borrow against it? Can you receive interest on it? And what does that look like? And I think that's really the key. This is all a backlash for a world in which everyone has been stuck on subscriptions. We've been eliminated DVDs. Nobody has VHSs. No one has CDs. Few people go to quote unquote comic book stores to buy comics. Move to trade paperbacks. There's things that people just no longer own. And so now this NFT component is giving people that hunter-gatherer nature response that they have. Unfortunately, not everything is worth hunting and gathering. So we have to figure out that component of it. And I think that's really the sifting that's going to happen over the next couple of years. In much the same way that we had to figure out what cryptocurrencies were really going to stick and what altcoins were going to stick and what utility versus security was. So I think that we have a very strange unraveling over the years to come to figure out what's an asset and what's a security.
Well, and even more so, we also have showcasing. We also have custody. I mean, custody is a whole nother situation. We've had some recent reports of people, purchasing these NFTs. And by these NFTs, I mean all sorts, so the entire bucket, and losing them. They just disappear. Magic. They're gone. And again, I'm just quoting on the just summary of what's been out there for those that are tuning in. But I mean, this is big. And if you're going to put that kind of money towards something, you need to make sure that it's stored, it's safe, you know where it is. So then you've also got a third problem, and that is that if you buy what is once physical and the digital representation, where do you warehouse all of this? Where do you store all of this, right? We have those kind of solutions on a small scale, I should say, around art. But when you tokenize everything or digitize everything, where do you store it? Is it this endless cycle of just holding hands, but really only a few people actually ever hold it? However, it's trading digitally every 5 seconds, for instance, and changing owners. And people are loaning against it while then they're selling it and then they're custodying it. But I mean, what happens when it comes to warehousing? This is going to be an issue. Again, when we get into this new world of tokenization, have either of you seen or have any thoughts around this? I mean, I know this is a little abstract, but relevant to today's discussion. So
no, but I mean, people don't have custody of their crypto. So I mean,
right?
They don't. Between private keys, right, Adrian? Between private keys and trying to figure out what their Binance account is and two-factor authentication and trying to manage the crypto. How are you going to manage these assets that, we had Zion Williams sell the largest, most expensive Top Shots, $112,000. That wasn't LeBron James. So where do you house that? Who is now the arbiter? How do you not just, throw your hard drive away and lose it just like people did in the early days of Bitcoin? So, it's the idea that there's going to be a whole nother layer of people and services that are going to pop up in this industry is necessary. There are no custodians. The whole point of crypto was to eliminate custodians because you are your person, you are your sovereign, and most people are starting to realize they don't want to be sovereign of anything.
It's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more responsibility in some cases as well. And we also had the first NFT house, NFT of a house go for sale. I believe it was over 500K. I saw a UFC fighter.
It was.
Thank you, Adrian. Wow, just wild. And we also had the UFC heavyweight champion. Let me double check that. Yes, UFC's heavyweight champion made 580,000 with his NFT collection recently as well, with this upcoming or this recent fight that happened on UFC. But the point of all of this is that, I mean, a lot of these individuals that are doing these NFTs are also driving and being very active within a community to make those types of things happen, right? We're seeing a lot of NFTs that are not going for XYZ dollars. Instead, you have to be involved as well. But let's talk about what's next. There's a lot in this industry. We've talked about FinTech, we've talked about payments, we've talked about the exciting world of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. What's coming? What is this industry about to unveil that we are just not ready for? And I mean that as consumers, as entrepreneurs, and as investors, the full stack. What are we not ready for? Looking ahead down the tunnel of 2021 into 2022, what is the big, bold prediction? Adrian, let's start with you. What's the big, bold prediction of what's coming around the industry of blockchain and FinTech?
First, and I want to use as an example the auction for Jack Dorsey's first tweet. And the fight was between, I believe, Justin Tron, the founder of Tron, and another founder of a Malaysia-based blockchain startup. And what we see, and it was basically their ego. They're fighting with their ego, because in the auction you can search online. You can see their profiles bidding. I believe their Twitter profiles. It happened in a platform where you could bid with your Twitter profile, and we see actually a new wave of highly successful entrepreneurs who are ready to invest in such virtual properties, which may have resale value or not, but these are vanity type properties. It's the same like, okay, I'm buying a Ferrari. People are looking at me in a different way. The thing is, okay, I'm buying Jack Dorsey's first tweet. Nobody's like me. Of course, I spent a couple of millions on it, but look at me. So it's a new digital industry serving the egos of highly successful entrepreneurs, the way in the physical world this ego is served with, I don't know, fast cars, yachts, good houses, things like that. Maybe we could see like a virtual concierge in the NFT world, or the luxury NFTs, replicating in the online world the things happening in the physical world. This is one potential industry. Mm-hmm. And if people are ready to spend buying such expensive things, why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting perspective. And Noble, to you, same question. I mean, looking down the runway here of 2021, which feels like we're halfway through, but we're only at the end of the first quarter, and already so much has happened. So looking at the end, coming to the next 9 months, what's next? What do you see happening?
Well, NFTs have to converge with metaverses, right? So, to piggyback on Adrian's point, a lot of this stuff is vanity purchases, and we want to see what we buy. But we more importantly want to share what we buy. Ecomi has an app called Vivi in which people buy these collectibles, these 3D collectibles, and they are able to present them in showrooms, and people can visit those showrooms and see what they have. And so the idea of these metaverses starting to intersect, whether it's Decentraland, whether it's Sandbox, so people can showcase their items, is really going to be the next phase of this all. And people are spending millions of dollars on these different metaverse lands as well. So why not? If you spend $1 million there and then you drop all your NFTs and then you can showcase it, great. And so I think there's going to be an intersection between metaverses and AR as well, where you can actually go to locations and you'll be able to pop on your Decentraland app and you're in one neighborhood and be able to see the items right then and there. So I think there's going to be a lot of intersection, which we're going to have to be super careful on what the digital noise is going to look like. So it's exciting. I think people feel like they've explored everything on Earth, and now we're going to the metaverse. We're going to cyberspace to do the rest. What we predicted 20-something years ago.
We're going well beyond the stars in this case. For those who have tuned into VC TV in the past, I think you're both on some really good points there. And I mean, for me, I'm just looking to see how this world of decentralized applications, or dApps, really starts to evolve. So the future of applications as we move away from traditional mobile and web apps into this world of dApps as well. But then also in the metaverse is just open to endless possibilities, and all puns intended, since the metaverse will continue to evolve over time. But I think you're both right on that point as well. And exciting to see, again, how the enterprise plays a role in this. To me, the big opportunity, if you're looking at NFTs, non-fungible tokens right now, that enterprise space, digital twins and digitization of everything, two buzzwords that the enterprise loves and you can all capitalize on. That right there is going to be a sweet spot. Whether you're an investor or as an entrepreneur, watch that happen as well. Gentlemen, we're coming up to the top of the hour and want to make sure each of you get some closing thoughts in and where you can be found. Adrian, quick closing thought. Where can you be found online for those looking to continue the conversation?
As a closing thought, it's unbelievable how people are ready to spend on digital things instead of spending on physical things. So, okay, we are get used to the idea that we don't need a record collection because we can have all the music in an app, but maybe we don't need a huge physical house because we can buy an NFT one and pay $500,000 on it. So this is a huge change in paradigm, and we have to digest this and to see which will be the next changes, which will bring the next wave of opportunities here. My main communication hub is on LinkedIn. Search for me there, Adrian Niculescu. I respond to all messages, not all the time very fast. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you very much, Adrian, as well. Noble, closing thought, where can everyone find you, where Play Games, M Accelerator, and all the great things that you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's easiest to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Noble Dracone, and it's got links to everything there. But you can definitely find me also on Twitter, @Dracone, which is my last name. Just closing thoughts is that it's really a great time to be in the tech space, period. I just hope that people pay attention and use their same common sense, not to step on as many minefields out there as possible just because they feel like they're missing out on something. You can still do your diligence, you can still take your time and still pay attention. And if something doesn't feel right, I always tell people, just don't do it. There's always going to be something next, right? Who imagined NFTs besides me talking about it for the last year or so? That was going to be the next big thing.
Absolutely couldn't agree more. And also a big thank you to your audience for tuning in today. Thank you very much, Noble and Adrian, as well. To the audience, if you like what you heard, make sure you click subscribe, share the episode, and also check out the archive on LATOKEN.com to hear from Noble Adrian, and myself, and the entire VCTV family of speakers as well. And if you'd like to be a speaker, reach out to the team and or myself. We'll find the right spot for you. And also a big thank you to the LATOKEN team along with VCTV, or excuse me, along with Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me along with Noble and Adrian on all social media and all networks, including LinkedIn, at Kyle Ellicott on all social media platforms. Do reach out. Please add context where you heard us, where you met us, and what you would like to continue the conversation about as well. And with that, we're going to take a short break. We've got a little bit more VCTV for you here in just a few minutes. But until then, everyone have a wonderful day and enjoy the wild, crazy world of the blockchain industry. See you guys. Bye.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Yes.